Soul Calibur 5.
Hello everybody, and welcome to the Soul Calibur 5 playthrough. Now, some of you who have been with me since I began my YouTube journey will remember that I did Soul Calibur 4 way back in the day. And obviously in 2012, Soul Calibur 5 was released with an actual proper story mode. Now, in my when I did my review of the game, I did say that the story mode is kind of a bit of a guilty pleasure for me. And I thought, well, why not return to it and see whether I enjoy it quite as much the second time around. Now, essentially, the point of this very awesome, dramatic CGI cutscene is to show you the events of the last game, so what happened at the end of Soul Calibur 4, and making the continuity all correct. Because Soul Calibur 4 had different endings for each character, beating kind of like their personal story mode. So they need to have the single continuity for it to be working for this single story mode. So basically the way the story mode works is that you follow from one episode to the next. Each episode has story cutscenes on either side, and then you have like a series of 3 battles most of the time. So episode 1 begins in 1607 AD, which is a period that I have actually studied in literature, so I may be able to give you a few nice little facts about stuff.
This is the flag of the Emperor that bestowed favors to the Graf.
Oh, look at Thierry Lauenthal, he's everywhere, isn't he?
You serve Graf Dumas. And you must be the Malfested that are destroying this town.
So, already, we're right into the battles.
I am the holy warrior. Know my might.
So, this is basically the meat and bones of the story mode. Beat up a collection of people mostly with Patroclus, but we will have 2 other characters to play as. Now, I'm telling you now, I am not very good at Soul Calibur 5. I was a lot better at Soul Calibur 4, and even then I wasn't very good at that. So, don't expect major, intensely spectacular battles and moves. Because I'm not that good. Anyway, you should recognise Yuri Lowenthal from quite a lot of stuff. Obviously, he was Luca in Bayonetta. He's also the Prince in Prince of Persia, Sands of Time, and the 2 Thrones games, and he's done that most of the time. Sasuke Uchiha in Naruto. And he's also Future Luke in Professor Layton and the Lost Future.
KO. Only one fate awaits the defeated.
The price of justice! Malfested vermin have no right to live!
Now, the story mode would be a lot better if it were not for these poorly made, cheap
You're pale and filthy. You must
picture
be a Malfested
cutscenes,
as well.
No, my lord. I am not one of them.
which is really unfortunate.
Is that so? How unfortunate there's no way to prove it.
Basically, what happened was that Soul Calibur 5's story mode was originally planned to be 4 times bigger than it actually ended up being. But according to the game director Daishi Odashima, in an interview,
My honor to establish order in your name, Graf Dumas.
basically Namco Bandai didn't have, or the team didn't have the staff all the time needed to realise their full vision for the story, so it ended up being cut back quite dramatically.
Vile creatures.
And you can tell that this is
But I was
just
again unable
cutting
to
back.
find the Malfested with
It,
the
it,
Rainblade
it
knife.
feels rushed,
Ah, yes.
which is really sad.
Malfested that kidnapped your sister.
Yes, my lord. You had said that she would be in Edinburgh.
Search Klausenberg next. My informants suggest you do so.
I shall leave at once, my lord.
Now, the main reason I don't necessarily like the gameplay of Soul Calibur 5 as much as the gameplay of Soul Calibur 4, and largely because some of the changes just don't work as well as they should do. I mean,
Aside.
basically the main problem that I have is that
Patroclus Alexander.
oh,
Who are
typo.
you calling a murderer? He's a Malfested. They're not even human. They're demons that have sold their
basically
souls to the devil.
Patroclus's last name is Alexander, and obviously it said there
They've
Alexandra.
taken my sister and killed my mother. What's wrong in avenging these crimes?
Now, technically, it's kind of a bit awkward of a problem because Patroclus's mother is Sophitia, who was in the original, well, all the previous Soul Calibur games, and her surname is Alexandra. However, that's only the version of the name that the female members of the family have, because her husband, Rithian, I think it is, surname is Alexander, so the male ones have Alexander.
The battle rages on.
That
Stand up and show
kind of confusion as to how his name is spelt it follows through a bit. It's a bit weird. Yeah, basically, you'll see this at some point soon, that in the last game all the characters were balanced quite well, mostly. Whereas So like the slow characters, well, the powerful characters were very powerful but very slow, and the quicker characters were weak but very quick. Whereas here, the powerful characters are not as slow as they used to be. They're actually quite fast, and it can make it quite difficult. Also, when you've got them being fast and the faster characters being weak, the balance is just lost. Also, I have to say, I do miss the critical finishes. Because it's not as cool as the critical edges are, I just prefer critical finishes in the end. They're just a bit more epic.
At last, you understand how weak you are.
Oh yes, you pout, Patroclus. You pout, sir. Show him the smolder.
What?
Don't you just love it when you win a fight and then in the cutscene afterwards you get defeated?
Nothing's gonna change as long as you're under Dumas' thumb. Did he ever actually give you any clue as to your sister's whereabouts?
What do you know about her?
Now, Z.W.E.I there was voiced by Matthew Mercer.
Yes.
I
He possessed strange powers and commanded some kind of a monster.
can't quite remember what else he has been in.
Damn that cursed werewolf.
You know of him, my lord. Is he a Malfested?
That man stands in the way of ridding the world of the Malfested. Get rid of him.
Okay,
He seemed to know about my sister. My lord, does he have something to do with her?
You just need to kill those I say to kill.
yeah, he's not been
I've
in
served you faithfully and done everything you've asked.
as
If
much,
you have
maybe.
made no effort to search for
He-
my sister.
Oh, he's Crom in Fire Emblem
Unable to obey my
Awakening.
orders. I've had enough. Leave my sight.
How did I not notice
Never
that?
return. A dog such as you has no business making
Also,
friends.
Skelter Helter,
I'm
Bishop,
no
and
dog.
Zapofat in No More
I am a
Heroes
holy
Desperate
warrior.
Struggle.
How absurd. You are
Anton
nothing more than
in
a dog.
Translating in the
I
Diabolical
couldn't
Box.
care less about
Henry
that
Lador in
pathetic
Translating in the
dog's
Miracle
family.
Mask. Leona S.
Leona's
Kennedy in
dead
Resident Evil
somehow.
6.
So you've lied to me all this
Alvin
time.
in Tales of Gilia.
Don't walk away, you
Fei Long
coward.
in Street Fighter 4 and Super Street Fighter 4. And,
Get rid of him.
yes, and that's decent amount of names.
The macabre dance of death commences within the hollow cell.
Also, oh god, here he is, Voldo.
Do you mean to interfere?
Now, I don't know whether
Battle 1.
his costume here is creepier or less creepy than his costume in Soul Calibur 4. I'm going to go on the side of creepier because of that mask. That mask is terrifying. But there we go.
KO.
Voldo's a weird one.
The battle rages on. Stand
Now,
up and show
going
your
back to
strength.
Patroclus, Patroclus's
2. Fight.
name basically means glory of the father in Greek, and he's named after a character from the Iliad, which is by Homer.
I will show you the price of
Well, the spelling is well, actually no, the spelling's
Perfect.
the same in Greek.
The battle rages
Patroclus.
on. Stand up and show your strength.
Who was the son of
Fight.
Menoetius, the grandson of Actor, king of Opus, and was the beloved comrade of Achilles and his brother in arms. And I believe in the end he was killed by Hector in the Trojan War.
Belongs to the last one standing.
This is justice. Damn it.
So
He's gotten away.
there's a lot of kind of, well, not a lot, but there's a decent amount of Greek mythology being dealt with Patroclus. I believe the same is true of his mother, Sophitia.
He'd show up sooner or later. So, you finished being a dog?
Tell me everything you know about my sister, now!
Although, not nearly as much,
I guess
because
you'll do. Here, follow
can't
me if you
actually
really want to
find
know.
any spectacular Greek relationships, but Patroclus
Sorry to
is
keep you waiting,
definitely
Captain.
a reference.
This is Patroclus Alexander, the Holy Warrior. It's the guy I was telling you about. And take up that sword. Crossing swords is the best way to know someone.
And here we have Siegfried Stoffen, who has been in every single Soul Calibur game
Challenger for a
since the
true
original.
fight.
And he is voiced right here by Roger Craig Smith.
Battle one.
So, yeah. Siegfried's voiced by Sonic the Hedgehog. Keep that in mind. Now, this is where you can see what I mean by the heavy, powerful characters are quicker than they should be. I mean, because this is where I kind of start to get into trouble, much more so than in anything else. That
The true victor
it
never
does get
gives up.
worse, mind.
Battle 2. Fight.
But what can you do? Also, it should be noted that Siegfried is actually one of the few characters who is actually physically aged throughout the series.
Even when
Because as you will see, some of them, some of the other characters
never
just
gives up.
don't age.
Battle 3. Fight.
So, yeah.
Even when severely wounded, the true victor never gives up.
It is annoying that the characters can do that to you. It's like, why must you force me to do this?
I will show you.
It's definitely worse when you have, when it's later on when the difficulty is ramped up anyway because it's end game battles.
KO.
But yeah,
Only one fate awaits the
the
defeated.
balancing is just that bit off, and it does make it feel like Soul Calibur 5 was rushed out quicker than it should have been.
Couldn't have prevailed.
No need for alarm. This just means you are worthy to wield Soul Calibur.
Never heard of it.
It is
Well,
the
you
spirit
clearly haven't
sword
been in
that
the
is
fighting
destined
game
to stop
scene
the
for a while,
calamity
have you,
brought on the
Patroclus?
cursed sword Soul Edge. I was once its wielder, but ever since it destroyed Soul Edge 17 years ago, it has all but lost its power. I had stopped wielding Soul Calibur since that fateful day.
Probably for the
Recently,
best,
I
because
realized that the sword had changed.
if
taking up a
you
new form.
look at Soul Calibur 4, you realise
It
that
turned
Soul
into the
Calibur is
sword
actually a
that you now
crazy-ass
I
sword.
am no longer the master of the spirit sword. It has selected you instead.
So it chose me. Does this sword have the power to destroy the Malfested?
The sword has the power to destroy Soul Edge. I'm sure it's effective against the Malfested as well.
Pretty much.
In that case, I shall accept it gladly. It is the perfect tool with which for me to wreak my revenge.
I want you to wield Soul Calibur as a member of Schwarzwind, and lend a hand in our fight.
I will no longer serve anyone. Now tell me what you know about my sister.
There have already been sightings of the girl with a ring blade. If you join and fight with us, we would be willing to help you out in return. The information about the ring blade is from Eastern Zaxxon. That's also where Malfested attacks are on the rise.
Then that's where I'll go to look for her. What do they want?
Z.W.E.I and Viola will be escorting you on your journey.
I don't need anyone's help.
The three of you are traveling together, and I won't hear otherwise. Understood? And if you come across Nightmare, call for reinforcements.
You mean the Azure Knight that wielded Soul Edge? But he's just a fairy tale to keep idiots from trying to go after the sword.
Nightmare is the name given to the wielder of Soul Edge. It transforms even the meekest into an unstoppable force. Well, now that we're all agreed, the three of you should be on your way.
And so, let's go looking for Patroclus' sister.